boxing is like, every fight is a fucking tune-up these days. Like, everybody say, oh, they got a tune-up, this is tune-up, 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 tune-up. Like, how many tune-ups do you got to do? Tank been doing tune-ups for how long now? Every fight is a fucking tune-up. So, I mean...
Well, you can't really say that this guy he's fighting is a tune-up. I mean, he's fighting a world champion. Granted, he's bringing him up. He's bringing him up, but, I mean, still a world champion nonetheless.
I sparred him. He's a tune-up.
Bob Santos said he put hands on you.
I kicked him out of camp. He got kicked out of camp because
he couldn't
keep up. He couldn't last. I sparred him for the Jojo Diaz fight. I think I sparred him like two times or 3 times, something like that. And he just couldn't keep up, so I kicked him out and got some.
Now, in a recent interview with The Boxing Voice, Devin Haney has come out and said that, you know, he doesn't particularly rate Gervonta Tank Davis's next opponent, Hector Garcia, and that Gervonta Davis is essentially having a tune-up fight, and that he believes, it seems, that all fighters nowadays, they just want a tune-up fight and that they don't really want the top guys. Devin Haney also mentioned how he sparred Hector Garcia, and he actually kicked him out of the gym. He sparred him in the build-up to the Jojo Diaz fight. And essentially Hector Garcia was just not good enough, and that he couldn't keep up with Devin Haney, and that, you know, Hector Garcia is moving up from a lower weight division to come up to 135 pounds to fight Tank Davis. Now, I found this interesting because I looked at the comment section and I seen people, you know, going back and forth. You know, I think some guy said something along the lines of, well, you know, Devin Haney doesn't have the best resume, so, you know, who is he to go at Gervonta Tank Davis? You know, Haney hasn't fought anyone either. And in terms of resume, when you look at both Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin the Dream Haney, I believe the quality of their opposition is similar. I don't believe that Devin Haney actually has a way better resume than Tank Davis, nor Tank Davis has a way better resume than Devin Haney. Now, before, I was critical of Tank Davis's resume, but when you look at it in hindsight, it's not an awful resume. He's fought dangerous guys, he just hasn't fought the very elite guys. And I think the same thing can be said with Devin the Dream Haney. He's fought dangerous guys, but just not the very elite guys. And I'll break their resumes down for you, bit by bit. The only difference being between Tank Davis and Devin Haney, really, is that Haney pushed for the belts. And I do believe Haney wanted, you know, the legacy fights more than Gervonta Tank Davis did, at least so far in their career. I feel like maybe Tank Davis has switched up recently, and he's more willing to fight the likes of Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, you know, saying I cracked them both and that, you know, he wants them next. And he's also got a scheduled fight with Ryan Garcia after the Hector Garcia fight. So, Tank Davis's best wins, Rolly Romero, Gamboa just before he was shot to bits. I'll say Gamboa had a fair bit left just before Tank, you know, KO'd him. And after the Tank fight, by the time Haney fought Gamboa, by the time Isaac Pitbull Cruz fought Gamboa, he was shot to bits. So, Tank was the one who made, you know, Gamboa wash. So, Gamboa, Leo Santa Cruz, Mario Barrios, and Rolly Romero. Now, these are all tricky fights. None of those fights are easy. You know, you have to acknowledge that Mario Barrios is bigger than Tank Davis. You know, Tank Davis moved up to 140. He's got, you know, the height, the reach advantage. And he was able to keep Tank Davis, you know, behind the jab for long portions of the fight. If you guys remember, Floyd Mayweather told Tank Davis during that fight that you're down on the scorecards, that, you know, essentially you need to step up your game. On the unofficial, you're down. Now, Rolly Romero, when I look at him, although he lacks fundamentals, although I've been very critical and said, you know, he really needs to work on his boxing mechanics, Rolly Romero is unorthodox, and unorthodox fighters can be very dangerous. Just look at Deontay Wilder. He's very unorthodox. He's very dangerous. And Rolly Romero is a very physically strong guy. And not to mention, he is a huge 135-pounder. I seen, not in person, but on Rolly Romero's Instagram, he was weighing about 176 pounds with abs. I mean, can you believe it? This guy is a massive lightweight, Rolly Romero. And Tank Davis isn't necessarily a big lightweight. So Tank Davis was able to KO a huge lightweight in Rolly Rolando Romero. I mean, look at them in the ring. When they fought, Rolly had a huge size advantage against Tank. But Tank was patient and he was able to pick his punches. And he got the knockout shot. Leo Santa Cruz, whilst he was smaller, whilst Tank was going down, he is also a quite tricky fighter to navigate because he's quite skillful. He's got decent hand speed, decent athleticism, not great punching power, but he can move laterally, to a decent level. So Leo Santa Cruz was a decent guy. And if you look at Gamboa, Gamboa had that ring savviness. He knew how to stay in the ring. He picked his shots very, very well. Now, when you look at Devin Haney's resume, the Jojo Diaz fight wasn't Haney's best performance because he wasn't consistently landing clean on Jojo Diaz. So it was, I won't say it was a close fight. Haney did win, but it wasn't his best performance. Jojo Diaz didn't seem very lively in that fight, but you have to give Devin Haney credit and say that, he took away Jojo Diaz's best tools. Now, when you look at the Linares fight, a lot of people say that Linares was watched. Linares still had great hand speed, and again, he's an older guy, so he's ring savvy. Sometimes he does lack the best. He lacks defense. He doesn't have the best defense. But Linares is a guy who just knows how to not get knocked out. He knows how to kind of stay in the fight. Even though he actually did get knocked out later by some guy called Zayu Abdullayev. I believe he is potentially a bigger puncher than Haney. At least in the Devin Haney fight, Linares showed that, he can stay in there, that he won't get, shot, to bits by one big punch from Haney. Because Haney was hitting Linares clean in that fight. But he was just able to stay in the fight. Because whenever Haney did hit him a couple of times, he would hit Devin Haney back. And Devin Haney in that fight was, trying to do the Philly shell. And that's actually how he got caught. Devin Haney was trying to trade in the pocket. And Linares, the reason he was able to stun Devin Haney is because he forced Devin Haney. He put Devin Haney in a position where he wanted to fight his fight. Devin Haney should have just jabbed and moved around the ring. But, he was exchanging, and that's exactly what Linares wanted. And Linares has very good hand speed. So, yeah, he was a dangerous guy. Yes, he was old. His punch resistance was declining. He's not necessarily way better than Rolly Romero or anyone Tank Davis has fought, of the top guys that I've mentioned Tank has fought. Oh, and I also forgot to mention Isaac Pitbull Cruz. He's a great fighter that Tank fought. Now, George Kambosos is possibly Devin Haney's best opponent. I'd say he was in his prime. He just defeated Teofimo Lopez. But with Kambosos, I feel like he is still an unknown quantity, as in, we still don't fully know how good he is, because he lost to Devin Haney and he beat Teofimo Lopez. But how good is Teofimo Lopez really? Because Teofimo Lopez struggled in his last fight. Some people say it was a robbery and he got gifted a decision. And we still don't know how good Devin Haney is yet fully, because he hasn't fought all of the top guys in his division. So it's a bit of a difficult situation. It's really hard to quantify how good George Kambosos is. He was the unified lightweight champion of the world. Unified, not undisputed. And I'll give him credit there, but it's really hard, to tell with George Kambosos. He's got, really good hand speed. He's got, good fundamentals, better than someone like a Rolly Romero. He's not the biggest puncher, and Haney was so skillful on the night, he was able to make Kambosos look like a novice. I actually think Devin Haney's best performance was the second fight against George Kambosos, which was really impressive because Haney looked weight drained. He looked like he was sucked up and all dried up, before the fight, yet he was able to produce a fantastic performance against George Kambosos. He's also beaten guys like that Abdullayev guy. Who else has Devin Haney beat? He beat Gamboa, but Gamboa was way past, his prime when Haney beat him. He was already washed from the loss to Gervonta Tank Davis, and probably even before the Tank Davis loss. He was really a gatekeeper by the time he fought Devin the Dream Haney. So yeah, when you compare their resumes and their best wins, and the guys they've beaten, it's very, very similar. The only difference being is that Haney went for the belts, and that's why I'll always give Haney at this stage of his career slightly more credit than Gervonta Tank Davis, because it seemed as Haney was more ambitious and he was willing to fight everyone. And I'm not saying that Tank was avoiding fighters. Tank had some tough fights. I'm telling you, although Rolly Romero isn't the best fighter technically, fundamentally, he is a tricky fight, guys. Haney was involved in the more significant fights, in the more legacy fights, and that's what he'll continue doing. Hopefully he gets the Lomachenko fight next. But what do you guys think of what Devin Haney came out to say? Is Hector Garcia good enough? Is this just a tune-up fight for Tank Davis, or is this, a real competitive fight? I haven't seen much of Hector Garcia, so I'm not going to say whether he is or he isn't. Let's just hope it is a competitive fight. And who do you think has a better resume, Tank Davis or Devin Haney? I'll say it's about even, to be honest. Their resume is neck on neck. It's even. I wouldn't favor one over the other. They fought similar level of opposition. They both have the same amount of, I would say, B-level fighters on their resume. So we'll just have to wait and see. Good luck to, Hector Garcia and Tank Davis for the up-and-coming fights. It'll be interesting. Alright, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't be a ninja watcher. Let's push. I'm almost at 500 subscribers. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Alright, peace.